Hello and welcome everyone. Today's question is very interesting. Question name is longest alternating subsequence. So we have an array and we have to find the longest alternating subsequence. So in the description it is known as good subsequence. So a good subsequence. So we have two types of subsequence. The first element is smaller, then big, then small, then big, then small. So it's like a valley, then mountain, valley, mountain. So either this or starting from the bigger element, then smaller, then bigger, then smaller, then bigger, and so on. So we have to find the good subsequence, either this subsequence or either second subsequence. So second example is very interesting. So in this we are starting from smaller, then 17 big, then 10 smaller, then 13 big, then 10 smaller, then 16 big, then 8 smaller. So subsequence length is 7. Remember, we don't have to tell the subsequence, we just have to return the length of the longest subsequence. So these two are different things. So let's build the approach. We have this array. So either we can build this array, so start from smaller then big, then small, then big, either this, or we can start with bigger element, then smaller, then big, then small, then big, either this subsequence. And we have this length, means n length. So its first approach will be a dp. So we have to build a dp of same size. In this case n is 10, so let's take the 10 length dp. So we have two types of subsequence. Either we can start with smaller and then go big, small, or either we can start with a bigger element and then smaller, then big, then smaller. So let's suppose we are at ith index, and on the ith index we have to consider the element ending with the bigger element. So on 1 we have to find the subsequence ending with the bigger element, and on the 0 we have to find the subsequence ending with the smaller element. 0 means smaller. So this subsequence, so this, and on 1 we have to find with bigger element. So ith element must be bigger than the previous ones. So let's suppose we have this element, first element, 0th index. So we cannot take the previous elements, but remember, we can take minimum length. Minimum we can return is length 1. So we will add +1 afterwards. So let's go to next iteration, next element. We have this element and we are at 1th index. So its previous element, we have to check with the previous element, and on 0 we have elements 0 0. Then on index 1, this index we have to check with previous elements. So one element is smaller and this element is bigger, so we have to fill this index on this index one index, because current element is bigger and previous element is smaller. So we are at 0 index. So 0 index 0 0 0, we have to take element from this cell. So we have one subsequence, so we will add +1 with this cell. So we have 1 here and 0 here. So that's it. Let's go to next index. Let's go to next index. We have this index. So comparing with previous element, first we have previous element on 0th index. So this element, and we are filling on this row, second row, and first we have this element. So this we have to fill. So as you can see, previous element is smaller, so we have to take the element or value from this cell, and current element is bigger, so we have to fill the element on this cell. So current element is bigger, so we have to fill on 1th, and previous is smaller, so we will pick from 0th. So ith previous 0th cell, because previous element is smaller, so we will add +1. Next element is this 17. So 17 is bigger and current element ith element is smaller, so we have to take the element from this cell and we will add +1 here. So 2. Okay, let's move to next index. Next we have this index, so and 1. So as you can see, previous element is smaller, so we have to take element or value from this cell. Current element is, previous element is smaller and current element is bigger, so we will fill value on this cell. So we will add +1 on the previous value. Okay, next we have this 17. So 17 is bigger, so we will take from 1th, and current is smaller, so we will put value on this cell and we will add +1. Next we have 5. So 5 is smaller than 10, so we have to take value in this cell and we have to fill value on this cell. Because current element is bigger, previous is smaller, so we will pick element from smaller and we will fill a value on bigger. Bigger means 1. So the value is 3 here. Jump to next index. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4. So we have this index, this value. So previous element is smaller, so we will pick element from this cell. So add +1 here. Okay, next is this, so bigger, and we have current element is smaller, so we will add value on this cell, add +1. Okay, next is this, so previous is smaller, so this, and we current is bigger, so we will add +1. So 2 + 1 3, so 3 is bigger, we will replace this value with 3. Next we have smaller element, so smaller and current is bigger, so we will replace value with previous +1. Previous is 2, so previous +1 is 3. Okay, next we have next index, which is 5 index, 5th index. So this index. Okay, so previous element is smaller, so previous element is smaller and current element is bigger, so we'll add previous +1 here. Next is 17. 17 is bigger, current is smaller, so we will add value on the smaller value, smaller index. So add +1. Next element is smaller, so this is smaller, so we will pick from smaller and we have to replace value on this cell because current element is bigger. So 3 here. So next element is 3. 3 is, so on 3 we have element 10. So this value, because 10 is smaller, so we have to pick from smaller, and this is bigger, so we will replace value with this. Next element is 13. So as you can see, 13 is smaller than 15. So for smaller, we have to pick values from 0th index because ending from smaller, and now we have bigger value. So replace value with 3, previous +1. So I hope now you are getting it. If you still not get it, let me explain one more time in depth. So we are at this index. So this is the ith index, and we are running a loop for I starting from 0 till n. And inside I, we are also running a loop for previous index. So previous index is starting from 0, and we have to run a loop for previous till I, because we have to take the previous value. So first value is this. So 1 is smaller than 10. So on zeroth, we are putting the values ending on the smaller, means decline, means valley. So on 1 we have this element. So till the ith, till this we have smaller element, and now current element is greater. So we have to replace current element with greater. So we have to place value here because current is the greater element and previous is the smaller element. So we have to pick the value from the smaller values because till now we have smaller values. So we have value 1 here because this is a subsequence of length previous +1. Okay, now next we have 17. So 17 is greater than 10, means till previous we have greater element and now we have smaller element. So till previous means this element, previous element is greater. So till previous mountain or bigger element, till previous we have greater element. Now current element is smaller, so we have to update our smaller value here. with the previous plus 1. Got it? Next value is 5. So 5 is smaller than 10. So smaller, and we have to put value here with previous plus 1 means subsequences. Subsequence is length. So till previous we have subsequence length 2, and this is the bigger element, so we have subsequence length 3 here. Next element is 10. So 10 is equal than 10, nor greater, not smaller. So we will skip this value. Next we have 13. So 13 is greater than 10. So 13 index is 4. So this value, and we are current value is smaller. So we will replace value this cell of this cell. Now value is 4 here. So till fourth index we are done. Next we have 15. 15 is greater than 10. So this value, and we have to replace this cell because previous is greater and current is smaller. Till previous we have greater elements and current value is smaller. So till previous greater elements length is 3, and now current element is smaller. So smaller element, till now we have length 4. So we have the highest length. So we have 4 here. Next we have, we will update our I, this element. So previous is 1. So 1 is smaller, this element, and current element is greater. So we will add plus 1. Next 17. 17 is greater. So greater, and current is smaller. So we have 2 here. Now second element is 5. 5 is equal to 5. So we will skip this. Next element is 10. So 10 is greater than 5. So index 3, it is greater than 5, and current element is smaller. So its value 4. Next we have 13. So 13 is greater. So we will update our value with 4. Next 5. Next 15. 15 is greater. So its length is 5. So currently we have length 4. Next we have 10. So till 10, 10 is the bigger element. Now current element is smaller. So we will update this value with 4. So 4 is there. No need to replace it. So next we go to next element. So we have 16. 16. So we have to run a previous loop. So previous element is smaller first. So we will update our value this cell of this cell. So next we have 17. 17 is greater. So we will update 2 here. Next we have 5. 5 is smaller. So we will update this value with 3. Next we have 10. So 10 is smaller. So smaller, and this is bigger. So 10, then we have 13. So 13 is this. 13 is also smaller. So we have 3 here. Okay. Next we have 15. 15 is also smaller. 15. Next we have 10. So 10. Now this will replace our current element. So sixth we have 10. 10 length, 10 is smaller than 16. So we will update our greater value with 5. Next we have 5. 5 is smaller. So answer is 5 here. Next move to next index 8. So previous element is smaller. So we will pick and add plus 1. Next element is bigger. 17 is bigger. Then place 2 here. Next 5. 5 is smaller. So replace with 3. Next we have 10. So next we have 10. So 10 is bigger. Now we have value 4 here. So next we have 13. So 13 is bigger, this value, and 4 here. Okay. Next we have 15. So 4 here. 15 is also greater. Next we have 10. 10 is also greater than 5. So 4 value, current value is 4. Next we have 5. 5 is smaller, and current is bigger. So we'll update this value with 5. Next we have 16. 16 is greater and current element is smaller. So we have value 6 here. So the subsequence length can be end on any of these indexes. So we have to iterate on these indexes. So while filling, we will take the maximum value, and our maximum value our answer is 6 here. But as you can see, 1, then 17, 17, then 5, then 10, 10, then 5, then 16, then 8. So we have length 7. So at the end we will add plus 1, because I initially told you that either we can pick this element or either we can skip this element. So on both the cases we have a subsequence. So we are comparing an element with another element. So we have to take plus 1 afterwards. So that's why we are taking plus 1. So let's code this. So answer and n and dp array of n and 2. So we are running a for loop, and we have to also run a for loop for previous element. So previous element starting from 0 till I, because we are taking the previous elements till I. That's why. So if the previous element is smaller, so I am adding the high value on the 0th index. So on the 0th index, so previous element is smaller. On smaller value, I am adding on 1th index. So I have to take value from 1 previous one, means value means small element. So small element, then we have to add plus 1, because subsequence we are considering the ith element also. Either this case or this case, means previous element is greater means we have to fill on 1th index, means our ith element is smaller, current element is smaller. If this is smaller, so we have to fill on 1th index. So we have to take the maximum value. So previous greater plus 1 means subsequent, and on both the cases, either on 0th case or 1th case, we have to take the maximum value and fill it on our answer variable. At the end we have to return our answer plus 1, because this is subsequence and we are considering two elements, we are comparing two elements. That's why we have to return plus 1. So let's optimize this, because this solution will not work. Its time complexity is n square and space complexity is order of n, which is not meeting the expected time and space complexity. So let's optimize this code. So if you observe, we are only interested in the maximum previous values. So if this is the, so suppose this is the ith value we are at here, and we have to suppose fill this value, either fill this value or fill this value. So if we have to fill this value, then on the previous cases we have to consider the maximum value. So suppose current element, ith element is greater. So we have to uh, find the previous less element, which will give us the maximum length. So on all the previous values of minimum, smaller of minimum means smaller than the ith value. This is the ith value. So from all the previous smaller values, we have to find the maximum length. So we can add length plus 1 here. So we are only interested in previous maximum values. So let's keep this in mind and optimize this code. So in this we will not use any dp. So we have two options: either the ith element is bigger than all the previous elements, or the ith element is smaller than all the previous elements. So we have two types of option. So for this we have up and down. So its initial values is 1 1. So as I said, either we can add plus 1 afterwards, or we can start with 1. So we can fill our dp with 1. So here I am considering the 0th value with 1. So on this value, so we don't have to return the subsequence, we are only interested in the length of the subsequence. So this value is bigger than the previous one. So bigger means this is an up. So from all the previous values, this is a up. So we will take from down and add plus 1 here. Means this is a up value from all the previous values. So on index 1 we have maximum length 2. So let's move to next index 2. So this value, this is the bigger element, this is the smaller element as comparison to the previous element. So this is the smaller element. So we have to update our down, because this is a down, means valley. So from all the up elements, this is a down element. So we have 3 here. So we will update our down variable with up plus 1, and up stays same. Next, on third index, this index, so this index is greater than the previous element. So greater means this is an up. So we will update our up variable with down plus 1, means current till yet we have down and this is the up element. So we will update our up element with down plus 1. So 4 and 3. Next, on fourth index, this is the bigger element or up element as comparison to previous element. So we have to update our up with down plus 1. So 4 stays same. Next, 3. Then on fifth index, this is the element, and as compared to previous element, this is the up. So we will update our up variable. We will update our up variable with down plus 1. Okay, down plus 1. Next, on index 6. So this is the smaller element as compared to previous element. So we have to update our down. So till now we have up elements and this element is down. So we have to update our down variable with previous plus 1. Till previous we have ups, all ups, and current element is down. So we have to update our down variable with up plus 1, means subsequence length we are considering. That's why up length plus 1. So 4 stays same, 4 and 5. Next, on seventh index. So we are at this index. This index is smaller. So we have to update our down. So down with up plus 1, 4. Next, on eighth index. So this element is greater. So we will update our up with down plus 1. Next, 9. On ninth index, this element is smaller. So we'll update our down with up plus 1. So 6 and 7. And on the next, so this is so this is our up and downs afterwards. So we will return the maximum element from ups and downs, because we don't know the subsequence, either it ends with a down or it ends with up. So we'll return the maximum value from ups and downs. So that's all. Let's build this. Let's code this up. So we have n and answer and ups and downs. So we have iterate. We have to iterate. So either we can check it with, we can check the current element with previous element, or we can check it current element with next element. So both condition will work fine. So I am checking with next element. So I explained you the with previous element. So we can do it like this or like previous element. So if we are, if this element, if current element is smaller as comparison to next element, so down means it is smaller, means this is a value. So we have to update our down with up plus 1, or this is bigger. So we have to update our up variable as I have explained you. So at the end we have to return our answer with answer. So answer will be in up or down. So its time complexity is order of n, its space is constant, and this solution will work fine. So if you are watching till now, a click on the subscribe button is highly appreciated, and we have successfully submitted this code. If you have any doubts, feel free to ask in the comment section.